Hello and welcome to iSkipper.net. This is lesson 9 and that is jibing. Jibing effectively it's turning the boat around but with the bow turning away from the wind this time. A tack was turning the bow towards the wind, a jibe's turning the bow away from the wind. You might well have heard scare stories of jibes going wrong on yachts, but there's no need to worry as long as you're doing your job as a crew member correctly and your skippers doing their job. There's no need to worry because jibes can be done in heavy weather in a nice safe manner. So what we've got here is the whiteboard with the wind blowing down the board again, and then we've got the boat sailing down in this direction, and just got the arrow there just highlighting which way a jibe is. So the jibe is turning the front of the boat away from the wind and then sailing back off down in this direction. So we've got to control the sails in a jibe. The helmsman will shout "stand by to jibe," and then there's a couple of jobs that need doing. In some ways a little bit like the tack. We need the windward winch loaded on the Genoa sheet, so we can when the sail comes across we can pull that in. And then the leeward winch also needs to be out the self-tailer, so you're ready to release that rope when necessary. With the release though, slightly different from the tack, you've got to wait for the wind to hit the other side of the sail and take it across for you. If you release it too early, you'll find it'll just get wrapped around the forestay and cause problems. So you're just waiting for the helmsman to shout jibe ho, and that's when you release the Genoa so it can flap across the boat. With the main, looking back at the whiteboard, so we've got the mainsail pointing out here. You can imagine if we turn that way, the wind is blowing strong in the sail as we turn away, and then seconds later the wind's going to catch the other side of the sail and potentially take that boom across the boat at kind of high speed with a lot of power. So with a tack you'll be turning towards the wind and you go through the no-go zone, so your sails will be flapping as you do that. With a jibe they're pretty much powered up all the way through, and then the wind hits the other side and it would take it across the boat. So if you've done a little bit of dinghy sailing, you might be used to just letting the boom come across the boat. You may grab the falls just to dampen it a little bit, but on a cruising yacht that's not acceptable really. What we'd have to do is centre the main, so pull the main into the centre of the boat, and then as the stern passes through the eye of the wind, releasing the main so we've got the main under control at all times. Just like before, we've got a few calls. The first call is the helmsman shouting "stand by to jibe," and then whichever winch you're on you would shout "ready on starboard, ready on port" when you're ready. And then we've also got someone on the main as well. Once you've got the main into the centre of the boat, you can shout "ready on main." As the wind hits the other side of the sail, so the wind's going to hit the other side of the main and the Genoa, the helmsman shouts jibe ho. That's when you release your Genoa sheet and the person on the main will release the main just in control, just easing it out, and all will be well. So where we have a yacht sailing away, it looks pretty much like he's on a broad reach there, sails roughly 3/4 of the way out. He's just going to cross the astern of another yacht and then think about popping a jibe in. So jibe turning the front of the boat away from the wind, so from here as we look at it from right to left. So he'll call stand by to jibe. That's the helmsman there calling that, and the winches will be sorted. So you just have a good look over his shoulders, nothing in the way. The main's getting centred there. Winch just ready to be released. Turning the boat nice and slowly. Wind hits the other side of the sails, releasing the Genoa and easing the main out at the same time. Again on a broad reach. Main's getting centred. Winches have been done. Can't quite see it from this shot, but the winches have actually been ready to be loaded. Wind comes across the boat, easing the main out at the same time. Easing that main out reduces the risk of the boat screwing up into wind in windy weather. And this is actually quite windy here. It doesn't look it because it's blowing offshore, but it is quite a gusty day. Now this is a shot of the yacht coming straight towards us. Wind right behind it, again sailing on a broad reach. So the main's getting centred now, preparing for the jibe. So helmsman's bearing away. That's the wind hitting the other side of the sails there. There it goes. Easing the sails out to keep the boat under control and trimming them to the next point of sail. So the boat's more on a dead run, so I think the crew have decided to try and goose wing it. So you've got the main on one side, the Genoa on the other, because the wind's right behind the back of the boat. So there he is, right, goose winging, dead downwind. So there's the main getting centred, boat bearing away. Don't have to do anything with the Genoa because it's already on the correct side. Easing the main right out, keeping the boat under control.